Are you tired of launches that flop? I want you to try the small event sales system that works every single time. Hey, my name is JR Spear. I am the founder and owner of Business Leaders Network, where I help small business owners start, grow, and scale their businesses. And I love teaching about one-day events. Why? Because I believe that if you could stand on a stage in front of a group of people that are your ideal clients, it is a much easier to convert them over to a sale. As much as, and even more importantly, in-person events, not webinars. Now, I do love webinars. I do love virtual, events and be able to connect with people on Zoom and whatever it may be because it is efficient. But I will tell you the conversion rate from small in-person events is much higher than any type of webinar and things like that. Because if you can fill a room with your ideal client, then you have a much higher chance to be able to convert them over to a high ticket sales than you would anywhere else. And why? Because if they are giving up their day, time, and money and energy to show up, to be present with you in your event, they're already telling you saying, hey, I need help. And your job is not to convince them that they need help. Your job is to show them the path and the journey of what is next, what you can do to serve them to help them reach the goals that they need to achieve or that they want to achieve. And always remember this, when you host an event, you want to get really clear on one type of person with one clear pain point, with one clear offer. Don't show up trying to serve everyone in many different industries for whatever it may be. Don't try to serve a million different problems. Don't try to give a ton of different offers. Serve one type of person with one type of pain point with one clear offer at the end. If you do that, then your conversion rates can be really high. But I put together a system called the core method. And this core method is a very simple process that I want you guys to follow. And this is what's going to help you guys with your launch. So anytime I have a new offer that I want to present, be able to get out on the market, be able to convert more sales, this is the fastest way that I use to be able to start that launch, to be able to convert more sales and to get a new offer off the ground fast. And so get rid of all the boring tactics of being able to launch a new product, a new service, a new whatever it may be, and start following this core method that I'm going to teach you guys right now. Because just like what I just told you, when you can get your ideal client in a room and present a very specific offer with a need that's going to help solve the problem that they have, then your conversion rate is going to be much higher. They already start to trust you because you're staying up there as the credible authority. So you're shrinking that sales cycle, and you're being able to. All you have to do is convert them over, get them belief that you have what it takes to be able to help them with the problems that they got. And so when it comes to this core method, the very first part of the core method is the C. It's that capture, it's the draw. Like, what is that pain point? What is that one thing that you have that can help them solve the problems they got? What is that draw? Why are they going to give up their day, time, and energy to be in that room with you and say, hey, you know what? That is my guy. That is my gal that can help me with what I got going on. This is something that I want to give up my day, time, money, and energy to be in that room. You have to think about that draw, because of that draw, that capture, that thing, if it's not good enough that solves that problem to get them to stop doing what they're doing, then they're never going to take the time out of their schedule to be able to be there, to be in that room with you. Now, one thing that I can't stand, and it's also a good tell with discovery, is like, you know what? Let me see. Like, you have this event, you have an invite for someone, and they're saying, hey, I'm interested, but let me see if nothing comes up, then I'll make sure I'm there. Ultimately, what they're telling you is, hey, you know what? If something more important doesn't come up on my schedule, then I will be there, meaning you're not as important, or your event isn't as important to me, so I'm not going to make it a priority to be there. That is a good tell that your draw, your capture, the experience of what you are providing isn't valuable enough for that individual. Now, not saying that it isn't valuable at all, but if you're seeing a consistency with people telling you that same thing, saying, hey, you know what, let me see if I have it open on my schedule later on as we get closer to the date or whatever like that, then that's a good tell, saying that you need to change up your event. You need to figure out what the draw, you need to figure out what is it going to take to get people in that room that's going to draw them in, to make sure that that's a priority, where they move everything else out of their schedule to be there with you in that room. Now, so many different times where I can put on a workshop or put on an event in person where I'm at and have like a week or two notice, and I will get people that move their schedule around to just show up saying, hey, I want to be there. But that's because I have worked so hard to build that credibility where I'm at. But if you are just starting out in your space and in your area, wherever you're located with your audience, if you're just starting out, you're going to have to take some time to build that credibility with your audience so that they learn to trust you. But until you do, you have to be in discovery to figure out what is that draw, what's going to get people to stop doing what they're doing and make your event, your experience a priority. So that first part of the core method is the C, which is the capture, it's the draw. The O in the core method is own. You have to figure out how you can keep people in that room. You got to own that space and keep people in that room. A lot of different things that you can do to keep people in the room is through engagement. What type of activities, what type of worksheets, what type of things can you do to keep people engaged so that they want to stay there, they stay engaged, they're part of the experience, and they're not just sitting in the back corner like they're at a high school dance and sitting on the bench and not talking to anyone. No, we want everyone engaged. We want everyone to be part of the experience so that way each person walks away with something new that can influence and change how they showed up or change differently when they leave there. And so you got to think about what's going to keep people there. What can you do to keep them engaged? Always have food, always have drinks, always have something that can keep people involved and engaged so where they don't get tired, they don't get bored, they're enjoying the experience. But you have to think about how do you own that room? How do you keep people in the seats? So part of the core method, the first piece is capture. The second piece is own. The third piece, which is the R, and that's resonate. You have to think about the emotion. How you make people feel is ultimately going to be the way that they buy. If you're making them feel like, hey, you know what, I want more, then they're going to want more. They're going to be like, hey, you know, well, what is the next step we're going to do? But if you're overwhelming them or it's not really exciting, you're talking about surface level stuff, and they're like, okay, you know what, this really wasn't helpful. That was great. I'm glad I got a reminder, but it's not for me. You have to get people to move emotionally. How you make people feel is ultimately going to determine whether they buy what you have to offer or not. And so when you're thinking about that room and the experience that you're providing and you're keeping them engaged and you got that draw, you're solving that pain point, you're overcoming different obstacles that they got, you need to think about how people are feeling. You need to be aware of what is going on in that room, what I call emotional intelligence. Part of emotional intelligence is self-awareness, knowing what's around, and self-regulation is knowing how to move and regulate what's going on. And that's not even just for you, but that's the people in that room. When you're seeing people that are tired and they're yawning or they're not engaging, they're not taking notes, how can you shift in that moment to keep people engaged, to get them emotionally involved in what you have to do so that way they are more bought into what you have to give next. So you got to resonate with the audience. You got to emotionally move them and make them feel like they want what you have next. Keep on the edge of the seat. Be like, okay, what else is he going to learn or teach us? What else is he going to give that can help me with what I got? The last piece of the core method is elevate, which is going to be your offer. What are you going to present, your irresistible offer that is going to get them to move to the next step of what you have to give? And your offer needs to always be complementary to what you just taught that day. It's the next steps. Now, a big mistake that a lot of people make is they will be teaching on fitness, and yet their offer could be on social media management. It doesn't align. Now, that's very extreme, and I haven't seen anyone do anything that extreme, but I'm trying to make an extreme example for you so that way you know. So if you're talking about your fitness and your health and wellness or whatever it may be during your presentation, your workshop, your summit, whatever it may be, then your offer needs to be something that's complementary and that is feeds off of what you just taught and what you just went through. Because if it doesn't align with what you just taught, it's going to be really hard to convert them over, because you want that irresistible offer to be the next step for what they are getting from what they just learned that day. And so if you're talking about health and wellness, make sure your offer is something of health and wellness. And to think about your irresistible offer, I talk about this all the time. There's 4 steps to creating your irresistible offer. One is you got to know your target audience, making sure that you're speaking to the right people that need what you have to give. Is this the right audience that you are able to help solve the problem that they've got? Understanding the type of people that need what that offer is that you're giving. The second piece of creating your irresistible offer is you got to know your competitive advantage. What is it that separates you from the audience or from your competition and from the rest of the world that makes you unique and you different? And just saying I'm a good person isn't big enough. So you got to know who your competitors are. You got to know what's out there in the market. You got to know what people are searching for and what they're already buying. So you have to know your competitive advantage. The third thing to creating your irresistible offer is you got to know your value stack. Create an offer that is 10 times greater than the price that you sell it for. And what I mean is, if you want to sell a $5,000 ticket, then you need to create a value that is $50,000 or more. Now, this is just a benchmark. This isn't a one-all be-all. You can't say, you don't have to say, well, I can't sell a $5,000 offer because the value really is only $10,000 or $15,000. That's okay. But if you want to get that wow factor where people say, hey, you know what? This seems so good to be true. This seems so cheap. I got to buy this right now before I miss this opportunity. If you want that feeling from people, then yes, I try to tell you that you need to create a value that's 10 times greater than the price you sell it for, so you get people to move. You have to emotionally get them bought in and be able to say, I want what's next. The next piece, or the fourth one when it comes to creating your irresistible offer, is having some sort of guarantee, because you got to break down that fear. Now, I know a lot of entrepreneurs are scared to give a guarantee because well, I can't guarantee these results. I can't guarantee someone's going to do this. You could set stipulations, and it doesn't always have to be a money-back guarantee. But if you do a money-back guarantee, what you can do is say, if you follow my steps and show up to our calls and do this and everything that's that's involved with the program, product, or service that you give, if you follow the different things, then I will guarantee that you will do this. And if you don't, then I'll give you your money back. I don't really give a money back guarantee. Normally, like for my one-day events mastery program, I will give a 2x guarantee, meaning if you don't 2x your investment with me, I will continue to work with you until you do on your next events and so forth, until you at least 2x gross your income that you invested with me. And so you can get creative on whatever that is, but the big thing is the guarantee helps eliminate that fear. It helps create that offer and make it irresistible, so that way they're saying, hey, you know what? It's a win-win. There really is no loss. Why won't I just jump in now? And so people have a fear, and that's a big reason why they don't jump in now. Usually it's a fear of past experiences. Usually it's a fear of belief, thinking that you can help solve the problem that they actually have. And if you don't create some sort of guarantee to help lessen that fear, to give them a chance to breathe, make their shoulders lower a little bit and not be as intense, you're going to have a lot harder time to sell them and convince them that you have what it takes to serve and help them. So those are the 4 steps when it comes to creating your irresistible offer. You got to know your target audience. You got to make sure you know your competitive advantage. You got to create that value stack, and you got to make sure you have a guarantee. But today, if you guys really want to know how to launch fast, and you really want to know how to convert faster, generate more money, get new offers out there, then I would follow this core method and host your micro, small, one-day event for your next launch that you're going to be doing inside of your business. It could be a new offer, it could be a new business, it could be a new product. It doesn't really matter what it is. And there's not just one type of event that you guys got to do. Throughout our system, I walk our clients through 6 different types of events, depending what the goal is that you want to achieve. Now, when I'm determining the type of goal, I try to say, okay, are we focus on just lead gen? Are we focusing on revenue and sales? Or are we focusing more on community and relationship building? Because a lot of times for the community relationship building, it could be our current clients that we want to strengthen the relationships, and we want to create an opportunity to be able to make them more raving fans, keep them engaged. Because the more engaged your clients stay with you, not just at your event, but overall throughout your program, your product, your services, whatever it may be, the more likely they're going to stay with you longer and refer other people. So our goal is to really turn that prospect, that client, into a raving fan, so they continue to stay with us, refer us, and buying from us longer term. And so when we are thinking about the type of event we do, we have to consider, is this a lead gen opportunity? Is this a revenue generator? Or is this a way for us to be able to generate more, increase our engagement and relationships with our clients? And so when you're thinking about what is that goal, now we have to determine what type of event that we want to do. Is this going to be a workshop, free or paid workshop? Is this going to be a summit where you allow other speakers to come? Is this going to be a VIP day where you're serving a very small, intimate group that pay in higher dollar that you can go deeper on their specific problems that they got? Or is this a networking event where you're bringing people together to collaborate and grow, a mastermind type of event in that experience? Is this going to be more of a vendor expo type fair where you're just trying to generate a lot of cash, help other businesses, promote their brands and help you generate more leads and from that event? Or is this an experience event where you're providing some sort of experience, whether going out golfing, doing axe throwing, wine tasting, moving the park, whatever it may be, that's going to draw people in saying, hey, yes, I want to be there. You have to determine what that is. But if you have a new product, a new service, a new offer, whatever it may be, the fastest way to launch it is going to be through these micro one-day events. And I would love to serve you, love to help you, love to give you some free resources that can help you with that. And all you have to do is go to theoneDayEvent.com. That's theoneDayEvent.com. Download my free resource. I walk you through our entire core method. I walk you through the 6 different types of events, and that will give you a good stepping stone to be able to help you get to where you guys want to go. And if you guys want more further help, I'd love to serve you and help you. There's next steps on that page on how to actually do that. So hopefully you find this valuable. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will bring some more value to you guys on how you can start, grow, and scale your guys' events or your products and services by launching one-day events for further growth in your business. All right, guys. Hope you have a great day. Download that free resource. And I'll see you next time.